Hi there, and welcome to the Live Vybrant Podcast, where we explore how to live with energy, purpose, and intention. I'm your host, Joshua Haag, a holistic lifestyle, performance, and success coach with a background in professional sports and 2 decades of coaching experience. Each week, I sit down with experts across a multitude of fields, including wellness, finance, and personal growth, to uncover practical strategies that will help you thrive in every area of life. Let's dive in and help you live your most vibrant life. Today, I'm super excited to have Dr. Jenna Gatses on the podcast. Welcome. She is the owner of the House of Pain. She is a PT, a human performance specialist, a great friend of mine, and one of the brightest minds I've ever had the privilege to work with. Dr. Jenna, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, of course. And funnily enough, at the beginning, we sat down, and for those listening, we were trying to dissect what to title Dr. Jenna, or what to say she does. She does everything. She fixes people. She is a miracle worker with pain. She literally is one of the most gifted people that I could ever sit down with. So how does this all come about? I want to start with just your quick history, just how you got to where you are today with the House of Pain, and kind of where this incredible skill set that you have came from, before we dive into some pretty fun topics today.
So I think I'm the type of person that is very curious, and I'd like to know root causes of things and understand the why behind anything, any skill, anything. I just want to understand it. So if you learn about something and you don't let fear run you, then you can learn and take steps and do anything you want to do. So, and if there's a roadblock in my way or, something I don't understand, I go and I dive into it. So that's what I've done my whole life with the human body, with my education on the human body. I went to med school for physical therapy. I have my doctorate in physical therapy. I did exercise science, but I also I went into other areas of health and wellness and fitness just so I can see the extremes and different avenues, perceptions, patient cases, loads. I just wanted to see it all so that I like to correlate things and see how to better things, because we're humans, but we don't really know a lot. So we could always be innovative and building to be better. So I went from just, the in-school book smart to dabbling in working for the ICU, burn, trauma. I worked in wound care, saw some flesh-eating bacteria types and Alzheimer's and, just like end stage of life and where we're all headed to. And I was working with pro athletes for a long time before school. So everything in school to pro athletes, it was related to children and peds, and things that gave me more information into the human body as a whole. So I never let my education just guide me down that one path of like, this is the only thing you should know, stay in your lane. Because I feel if we work together, we can better people's lives. And I've seen it time and time again. I've been doing it and I've been helping people with injuries for a long time. So I just kept learning and, just staying awake to what is guiding me to what, and let me look in that and learn from this person, interview people. And my first job outside of grad school was the head coach for a bunch of NASCAR teams. So Joe Gibbs Racing, it was a lot of fun. So doing stuff like that where it's the same thing, it's just a different skill. I know the whole extreme spectrum of extreme injury and being debilitated all the way up to elite performance. And so I've really bridged the gap between the two, and I can get you from one to the other very quickly. I mean, from injured.
Yeah. Of course.
Sometimes take people out if you need to, but depends on how much stress they're bringing others.
Fair enough.
But it's a lot of fun, and I don't do things conventionally, and I dive into other people's professions. I go to doctor's appointments with my patients, and it's unreal what I've learned and how I can teach it to people and make them independent within their own health, and so they can have an ecosystem of good people. So after NASCAR, I moved out to LA. I started helping a bunch of people out here. That's it. I started just working with the best of the best, these billionaire CEOs, but also just regular people. I love cases that no one else can help. People fly in from all over the world to see me, and I basically just help them use their body again. It's nothing to do with me. I've learned all these tools to combat different egos, different injuries, different acuities as far as, did it just happen? Is it swollen? Is it acute, or is it something that's chronic and it's been, 20 years, so right. It's important to understand every aspect. And when I don't understand something, I go and I research it and explore. So, I've really uncovered a lot, and I can help people get rid of their pain without surgery. And so, it's a beautiful thing. I love it. I'm so I used to be like, oh, I don't want to say I love it. It's absolutely beautiful. You see people's relationships change. You see their lives get better. And you see them become independent, They start to rely on me a little too much during like the middle phase. And I'm like, I plant little seeds and I'm like, no.
I'm not here forever.
It's temporary. Otherwise, that's when I take them the other way.
And the House of Pain was created right after you got out here, correct?
Yeah, so, I built up my client base. I do that all the time. I just go somewhere and word of mouth. I'm 100% word of mouth, and built my client base to where, I wanted to be in one area and have all my stuff and have people come to me. So I have my podcast studio. We have a hyperbaric chamber, sauna, cold plunge, and gym and physical therapy clinic. We have a bunch of, the Normatec chairs, so just anti-gravity chairs. Trying to utilize all the tools that we can, because there's no one tool by itself, but I use a lot of tools so that I can combat different issues and different egos, and psychology plays a huge role in all of this.
It's incredible. It's like looking in a mirror when you're talking about all these different tools. Tools in the tool belt is what I teach my team. It's amazing to hear someone else say it. And I think truly from an outsider's point of view, I think that's what makes you so successful, right? Is you have this arsenal of knowledge of different tactics and theories and skill sets to come together to create, I always refer to a sauce, like a chef making a sauce, the secret sauce to someone's success, right? Utilizing the right tools at the right time for someone. What do you think, what would you attribute your, most influential couple pieces of knowledge? What really not springboarded you forward, but really elevated your way of thinking? What are the couple things?
I think really trusting in my intuition, like you can see how special it is when I say it, but it's hard for you to see it when it's you saying it, so just trying to love myself a little bit more and just understand the psychology behind everything, like I study psychology, but not a lot of people do, or not everyone does. So how can I get this message across without ruffling feathers? How can I say this without them thinking I'm being arrogant? That's my little game of chess that I love now, because my skill is my skill. I've mastered that, and so I love working with the human body, and I've done so much already. So now it's like, okay, I have people that have like 4 agents, or, this guy in different countries in that country, and they say this, and I have to combat so much. And their fear, and most, some of the time they get crutched by, a surgical team that says the only thing for you is surgery. And it's not true, but they only explore surgery. So it's more of an ignorance thing that I've seen. And it's kind of crazy, but I'm like, if I'm going to give advice on the human body, I have to know about every aspect. Maybe not be an expert in everything, nor would I ever say that, but at least understand it so I know how I can contribute to the success of my patient no matter what. But psychology is everything, because if you can't communicate what you're trying to say, it's crazy. Because you say something to someone and I'm like, that's what you got from what I said? And each person's different. And I'm high stakes out here. And
realistically, each person will hear the same coaching from you differently, time and time again.
It's crazy. Everyone's different, depending on what they did that day, how stressed they are, how toxic they are. When you're full of garbage in your lymphatic system, your body's being eaten away inside, basically. I say it's like clogged pipes. So you got all this goo inside you, and your body's not happy. You're not healthy. Yeah. So your brain is swollen, everything's inflamed, so you get impulsive and irritable.
What do you do, or what do you preach to help people clear that garbage out for this instance?
So that's one of the biggest things I speak on with Perform Better, and just in general when I speak, is it's recovery. But, I have these people that they don't breathe, they don't sleep, they don't hydrate. And they're like, should I do this? Should I put peptides? Should I get PRP? And I tell everyone, I'm like, you have rotting wood in your foundation for your house and no windows, and you're putting napkins up. And you're like, hey, should I put some more napkins? No, fix the original. Otherwise, what are you doing? Should I Band-Aid this part? So that's where it's like, it makes sense to understand the body as a whole, because the lymphatic system, if you're all clogged up, you could do the compression pants. You can, it doesn't matter. Your recovery is slower. You're going to get to homeostasis in a slower way. You're not going to be efficient with your movement, because your body's working on other things and being, the toxins and getting rid of them, storing them.
And so realistically, you hit it. This segues us into the big part of what I wanted to bring you on and kind of dive into is recovery. And now, what is the actual title of your lecture that you'll be doing for Perform Better?
So it's basically understanding the physiology behind recovery. And that's understanding the lymphatic system and the other systems of the body and how they all play a role. because I could work on someone and they get sick. They show systemic signs. And I'm like, oh, weird. They got the flu. So people, when the toxins store in your system, they're in the tissue, so they're not in your blood, they're not impacting you. The symptoms are dormant. But then you start moving things around, you start stretching and opening and oxygenating areas that haven't seen the light of day in who knows how long, and this stuff comes out. So you can see some systemic signs, and then people get mad, so you have to gauge how much you clear, how toxic they are. So you have to look at all their daily habits, see what's going on, what else they have coming at them. And I like to do blood work first because, if we're going to fix things, people are like, should I take this supplement? I don't know. What does your blood say? Like, are you deficient in anything? Because if your levels are all over the place, you should not be just throwing in random things. You should level out your levels. So it's best to get it in your food. You know this. I'm like, It's best to get it in your food first. Fix your levels. Level out the basic nutrients that your body needs to be efficient. Again, the foundational aspects of health. And then work on the recovery mechanisms you can now add in to help facilitate even more improvement.
Okay. So first things first, the foundation. And it's funny that we say it as like it's a coaching point, but it's one of the most basic things that we all seem to forget, right? Good exercise, good nutrition, good sleep, monitor your stress. Okay.
Breathing.
Before we talk the actual recovery modalities, because I have some questions for you with that. When you talk about actually clearing the lymphatic system, what do you mean? How do you do that? Can you give us a bird's eye view? I know it's a more complex question as we dive into it, but bird's eye view for the listener, what does that mean to me?
So there's passive ways to stimulate the lymphatic system, and there's active ways. So you can learn how to do it, but everything that I do is to, one, make the person independent. So you look at their range of motion. Are they lacking range of motion in some of their joints? Because, I teach this to my patients where each joint is supposed to move so many degrees. Mm-hmm. And if it's not moving, that means you're locking down that range of motion, and you start to move as more of a block versus independent degrees of freedom. And so imagine the vasculature is stuck in there, the nerves, all of that runs together. So you're clamping down and you're taking away the oxygen to this area, so you're making that whole area less efficient. So I think about, one, coordinating them to be able to hold their posture up, because if you just start releasing all these toxins, because dry brushing is good for lymphatic drainage, you can do tapping, circles on your lymph ducts, but that, like, if you're loaded with toxins and you just start moving it into your blood, then you get sick, and then you don't do anything with it. You're not actively moving. You could walk. Walking, especially in the beginning, is one of the best ways. Ultimately, getting someone to coordinate to where they can hold their full range of motion and full control any plane of movement, and then giving them at home things to do passively to help. Because you don't want to keep adding stressors or give it to them when they don't even need to do it. Less is more in the beginning. Just focus on controlling your nervous system, because most people are stuck in fight or flight. So you're not getting to rest and digest anyways. So give them another stressor to do. And they're like, I didn't do it, I failed.
And they get worried about it.
Yes, and then they shame themselves, shame and fear, cause inflammation, you clamp down more. It's crazy to see what you can do with people if you just give them some grace and educate them to know less is more in the beginning. Because, a big thing with, I dabble into everything because, again, I want to see everything. I obviously look at the data, but I also look at case studies and then try things myself. But with parasites, you can get sick from detoxing, and I'm like, there was a point that was coming with that, but what did you say before that?
Well, realistically, regardless of the point, it's funny you brought up parasites. I had gone to Mexico on a trip, came back, my stomach was upset, and I'm like, I've been carnivore for like a year and a half. I've been feeling great, lost weight, toned up, the whole 9 yards, been great. And I came back from Mexico, and for the life of me, for about 6 months, I could not figure out, and I have an iron stomach. I have been good all my life in terms of eating, and I could not figure out what was going on. And someone randomly across Instagram popped up, and it was one of those ads of parasitic detox. So I started to go down the rabbit hole, and I found drops of it's all natural. It's like wormwood. It's pumpkin seed extract. It's basically a concoction of it. I did that with trace minerals, some breathing exercises, and man alive, it cleaned me up in weeks, if not faster than that.
You can test for parasites too. And the thing is, that's where I was going with this. So when, I see people with SIBO and things like that too, where their gut bacteria is overgrown. And the thing is, you can get rid of the SIBO, but then if you're stuck in fight or flight, you're never in rest or digest. So if you're constantly adrenals running, you never actually get to the point where you sit back and you breathe and you get back to a parasympathetic state. You don't digest your food. And yes, that's a case where you went somewhere and you got that, but there's parasites everywhere. We all have parasites. 95% of people were studied to have parasites. There's parasites are everywhere in our food. I mean, there's GMO parasites. I've read patents on parasites. So, they're everywhere. And it's just important to do detoxes, but it's not just the parasite. Parasites eat off heavy metals, and it's just when things become too much. We have bacteria that's good in our body that we need, so it's all of that is, you have to be able to balance your nervous system to be able to get to where you can maintain rest and digest and parasympathetic.
It's easy to say, but for someone who has no idea even how to begin, is there an easy recommendation you could give somebody for learning how to balance that? Does that make sense?
Yes. So it's harder for everyday people, but if you're like grinding your teeth, you feel like you can't get sleep, you're constantly having to have coffee, you crave sugar, you can't stop craving sugar and garbage foods, that's a very good indication that you have parasites. I see kids, it's crazy. You won't even want the same things because it doesn't taste good to you anymore. When I had parasites, I was craving garbage and I'm like, oh, my parasites are hungry. But
just feeding them.
Yes. So, but again, when you go into parasite cleanses and things like that, you're just trying to detox your system. So if you see your system is stressed, the first place for me is a blood panel and an allergy test. So I have that on my website. It's basically, if you go to your regular doctor, I'm sorry, they're not going to give you labs that will show you anything. So we break down genetics and also your allergies and just going into what foods inflame you. So you can develop allergies over time and you can get rid of allergies by getting rid of the stimuli. You can develop something by having it introduced to your system too much. So you can take 3 months off and your system will reset. But so if you have all these triggers and you're eating them all day long, and I'm like, why aren't you getting better? And I need to know that information. So the allergy test, the blood panel, where are you right now? Because that's where we start. We don't start throwing in high intensity interval training when you have no magnesium, you have nothing, you're not sleeping. It's just, we balance out your hormones, we get your systems working again, and start to incorporate things that you need. So everyone's like a little CSI case where you start, you see what you find, and then you move forward and you take the next step. But the things with the allergies, and just knowing their genetics too, there's other genetic testing that a lot of my celebrities use, and they test 5 genes, and mine tests millions. So they work with the military, and it's the most conclusive test. Some of the data you don't need, but it's just nice to see where you are. But you could have something where your nervous system is so stressed that you flip on a switch that now is like a dysfunction in your system. So I have a dysfunction, I have a gene mutation. And so if I control my system, I know this is a lot, but it comes full circle.
I've been talking about this, I've been helping clients with it, so you're nail on the head. Go ahead.
Yeah, so if you have a gene mutation, so I was toxified by mold, lost all my hair, was in the air conditioning system, so it was in the ventilation for years. So in my home and in my facility. And it was deadly black mold, it was hundreds of thousands of mold spores in the air, lost all my hair, my memory was going. It was just crazy. My skin, I was insane. I just couldn't remember things. I just had panic all the time. That too, you feel like something's wrong, but you can't pinpoint it. When your system has all these things thrown at it, I developed cysts. I had a 16 millimeter brain cyst, 2 centimeter sinus cysts in each sinus, over 12 2-millimeter cysts in my lungs. So it did a number, but there was a Wi-Fi tower on the roof, and that enhances the growth of mold. So that's why it was so bad. And they were on their way to put the second one on, and I was like, we have to test, and I tested, and this mold was on forensic files for killing people. So then I developed this gene mutation, and this means that some of the processed foods that I was eating, I couldn't break it down. So I was accumulating homocysteine. So I'm thinking I'm doing all this recovery, I'm so healthy, and the guy was like, your levels, you could have a stroke at any minute. That's how high it was. I've never seen homocysteine levels this high before.
For those listening, homocysteine is a super inflammatory product within the body. You carry it naturally that we process it through. However, your levels can get out of whack pretty quickly, and it is not good for the system. So that's what she's talking about there with homocysteine. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I love explaining more. Just so I had to start taking an enzyme that helped me break down. So citric acid in foods, citric acid comes from mold. So you see there are many things triggering my system, and that's what made my gene mutate. But you get those things under control and you start to chip away at the layers, and you'll see people's lives change, and they don't ever go back. That's what's so much fun is like, I was like, look now, because first in the beginning, everyone hates me because they're nervous if somebody that doesn't want to believe me, because no one else does this stuff where they want to automatically fix the root cause. Not a lot of people do it, and it's sad because we should be doing that, because you can literally make someone independent and more efficient for life. Like,
Why do you think it is that people don't fix it?
I mean, if you look at our systems, everything's made for profit. So when you lose that care about the person and their needs as number one, insurance doesn't reimburse for a lot of this stuff unless you do A, B, and C. Sometimes A, B, and C is not what the person needs. You took an oath not to do that unless it's what the person needs. So, that's why I don't take insurance. I don't let insurance delegate what I do with someone, because I see how I make change, and then I'm like, why would I do that? That's a waste of my time and their time. So I charge a higher price point, and I just try to fix the root cause with people. And I always tell everyone, name one thing Big Pharma has cured, and it's kind of crazy, but nothing ever. How many hundreds of millions, billions of dollars have gone into research? Where are we on that? Can we get a bit here of some? Let's see where we're at, because it's crazy and it's really sad, actually. So I dive into a lot of things, and it's with the number one motivation to help people and to better the person's life that I'm with right there. So it's led me to a lot of cool paths. And so I start with the basics like that and then work from there. But a lot of the time, in the beginning, it's regress a little bit. Take away some stuff. You shaming yourself for not doing 17 things that you don't really need right now. You'll love it. You'll be like, wow, I can actually do this. And then you feel like it's something you can achieve. And then it seems realistic, and you'll see you start to overcome. And it's so beautiful to watch people never go back. Like,
and it's truly transformative, especially once you dive into the genetic testing and I just blood work, food allergens as well. And I think it's important to understand for people, you don't have to be highly allergic to something. You can be slightly allergic to tomatoes, slightly allergic to carrots, slightly allergic to celery. You're fine. But then you eat a salad and you're screwed. So it's, but I'm eating a salad. I'm healthy. A little olive oil and vinegar. Oh, by the way, you're also allergic to olives. Now, all of a sudden, this healthy salad is literally a concoction of toxicity for your body. And once you start to understand things like that, Dr. Jenna is spot on. You will leap forward your health and will have barely put in work for it yet. It's so cool to watch the transformations happen. So I firmly believe in it.
Then you can put the modality in that you actually need, and the person will get somewhere. And then I start to, when they ask me, what should I do? I'm like, I don't know. What should you do? Because they get to the point where, I'm not going to be there forever. So I want you to have these tools in your toolbox. So, the one lady was like, this is what I did. I was dehydrated. I got an IV because I wasn't going to drink enough water, blah, blah, blah. So it's so great. And she just wanted to tell me, to show me that she knew, confirm it was right. But it's so great because no tool is good by itself. All these tools physiologically do different things at different times, depending on the dosage. So there's never an absolute. Nothing's, everyone's like, oh, the cold plunge is good. Oh, it's bad. Like it's crazy. So it's always looking at the physiology. And then
when it comes to the recovery side of things, do you have a stack? I know we mentioned it earlier, but a stack of things you really like? Do you have an order of them that, there's no tool better than the other, but I prefer this if you've only got an hour, and then this if you've got a week? Like, how do you organize your recovery modalities?
So it's more about the person's psychology. So I know, the gold standards, the PEMF, the sauna, the hyperbaric chamber. Hyperbaric chamber is, gold standard. We used to heal wounds that were down to the bone. It's one of the most expensive cases in the ICU is a bed sore, and you can't fix it because the person doesn't get up. They just sit on it and it doesn't ever heal. So the only thing to heal that is a hyperbaric chamber. But then you have someone with TMJ. They can't do a hyperbaric chamber because it hurts their jaw. It doesn't matter. This guy says this is better. If they think it's better, if they think the hyperbaric chamber is not good and that their guy that said this was better, they will literally create the story in their head and cause inflammation and clench their jaw until it
doesn't work.
See, yes.
I heard it's about a 90 percentile. So the modality works to basically the practitioner's expectation, not the person, because you're the one as the practitioner. The massage therapist is teaching you that this massage is the best, not chiropractics. And the chiropractics, they're the one, like everyone is leading their own methodology. And it's about 90%, like the empirical data does not support any one over the other. And it's a pretty big mishmash of kind of guesswork. There's like good physiological benefits and there's not.
It's the thing is, it's like, it's the acuity and it's the person's psychology. So, if I have someone, if I'm not in California, when I was in North Carolina and I have this big burly guy that's coming in and he doesn't feel pain at all, and I have so many places to get to, I'm gonna needle them, but someone comes in and you see they're in fetal position and they're scared and they're like, I hurt myself and I think you're gonna hurt me, this last PT hurt me, I'm not gonna stab them, so that's where everyone's like, why do you have to say stab? I'm like, I like it.
Because that's what it is.
I'm very, just blunt with things. And so it's all about the person's mindset at that time. Did they just get hurt? Are they a professional athlete where their career is riding on this injury? They have a performance next week and they don't know if they're going to be able to do it. I have boxers. They're like, should I cancel my fight? So that's the thing is there's never a one thing fits all. It's all getting them connected to their core and their coordination, but doing it with the least amount of inflammation and incorporating other things. Some guys, I know they're not going to rest. They go out afterwards. So I don't have them do modalities. Go sleep, so you don't just add more onto that already overwhelmed system. So you kind of play to people's psychology. You set people up for success based on their habits, their life, and what they will and won't do.
All right. Could you create, for the average person, a perfect week in terms of recovery? Average person, don't worry about extreme situations with injuries and whatnot. But for a person listening to this, trying to figure out, because it is a sea of information out right now, especially as biohacking and longevity really become a forefront of people's thinking, recovery is part of that. So could you build out a hypothetical week for someone for me?
I say it's more how we were talking earlier about how can someone figure out where they are. Yes, the blood work, but also if you're in fight or flight, you breathe with your accessory muscles. So, our accessory muscles are our neck muscles, scalenes, traps. When you're sprinting, they lift the ribs a little more so that you can get a little more air in there. And there's secondary muscles. So your core and your diaphragm are supposed to be doing majority of the work. And so you're supposed to be able to exhale and have strong capacity in your lungs. And most people don't. You see, even me, my venous distension, my huge veins, but that's because I'm stressed nonstop. You can see how tight my fascia is, move my lip.
Yep.
So, and that's
you turn your head and you're the.
You hit me, and so it's not good because my lymph ducts are there. So say I get sick, my body's like, we can't get, the pipes are clogged. So working against a lot. So me working that out and me working on my breathing, I've changed it so much. And so every other system relies on that because your vagus nerve is through those muscles. So if you're constantly squeezing that nerve, your body, it's just reinforcing the fight or flight. So you're never going to get out of that. So just seeing, am I breathing with this or am I breathing with my belly? I tell everyone your exhale goes to your pelvic floor. So it's kind of crazy. That's your main muscle that protects your back. The pelvic floor at the end is the last piece of the core, your transverse abdominis, your diaphragm. If you don't have that pelvic floor, then your whole core is not efficient. And so then you get tendonitis, your extremities are inefficient. So you're just waiting for injuries and you're not able to exchange oxygen efficiently in your lungs. So just feel, can I exhale and blow my air all the way down to my butt? That's one of my biggest things with everyone. Everyone learns how to breathe. Because what I found is in our society, no one breathes. We're all constantly go, go, go. So when you're in this go state, like I said, you're not in rest or digest. You're not absorbing nutrients then. So you could be eating all this expensive food and healthy nutrients, supplements that you're loading for no reason with broken foundation, but then your body's not absorbing it. So what's the point? So it's, starting at the basics, basically.
So what's your coaching method for teaching breathing? Because there's so many different counts and concepts. What is you just talked about breathing down into your belly, pushing the air out. Verbalize it for me.
In the beginning, you feel like you're going to die when you start to think about your breathing. Then you're like, I don't even know how to breathe anymore. It used to just happen. Now I'm like suffocating myself. So it's a lot for people in the beginning because you literally feel like you're going to suffocate. So you plant seeds and tell people, it's awkward in the beginning. You can start sweating, just go at your own pace. But one of the best ways I found in the beginning is to do some box breathing. And again, it's not everyone's like, oh, I studied with this guy. Who cares? It's not about yeah, that's great. You're an expert already. These people are beginners. You have to start somewhere. Don't shun things just because you have an ego that you did this. It's not what it's about. So I tell everyone, don't do the whole box breathing 4 in, 4 out. Just exhale all the way as much as you can go. And like I said, to your butt, and then hold it for 4 seconds and then just breathe normal again and start to incorporate that a couple times a day for the first week.
How many times do I do it in a shot?
Just do it one time.
One time.
Just because in the beginning it's too much and then people get nervous, whether it's conscious or subconsciously, they don't like it. And anytime you're rewiring new pathways in your brain, the body resents it and it doesn't want to do it because it knows its safe zone of what it knows. So you're going to have a lot of resistance in the beginning. So just giving people that little task, just one time. Do it one time. It's crazy. So exhale. I'm like, let's have you do it. Ready? So exhale all the way. Lit 4, 3, 2, 1. And now just breathe normal.
And you get a little lightheaded in there.
And imagine if you did another one and you're well informed on your body. So people that aren't, they're like, what is this? And they don't want to do it. It scares them. But feel how you can kind of change your state instantly. So when I used to do CrossFit, I was doing CrossFit all the time because I was stable. You can't just do CrossFit. You have to be stable and do CrossFit. So I would do those breaths and do some tripod box breathing and you start to literally, I would watch my heart rate go down in real time. So you control your system. You don't let your system control you because your emotions are controlled by the hormones you have from the foods you eat, from the systems that you're harboring inside you that are faulty. So fix the foundation stuff. The breath controls everything. So people are like, oh, I foam roll every day. You shouldn't have to. Your vagus nerve is through those scalene muscles. If you're tense the whole time, your brain will never get the stimuli to let go and rest and digest. So it's like, keep going. There's a threat. Go, sprints. So then you never get the signal. So you're basically preventing yourself from recovering. So if you're not breathing, you shouldn't be doing anything else. You have to breathe. Otherwise, you'll get tight because your vagus nerve just stimulates you. It's not let go, it's let's go. So all your muscles are tense, you're creating resistance, you're going to elevate your blood pressure and just create more of an ischemic environment versus a vasodilation type of situation where there's
Now, would you recommend I do that before a workout? Or before and after, or just after?
So where are you right now? You come into it, you're panicking, you just got in a fight with your boss at work, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't think. My mind's going 80,000 miles a minute. Left my keys in the car. Before. You had a hard workout, or just, when you start to, if it's something where you don't have a lot of time, you don't want to do it before if you don't necessarily need it. I try to be efficient with everything. Know why you're doing something. Don't just do it to be part of a routine. You don't need to do that. And that always keeps your brain guessing, which is how you keep your neurons active. So when you're doing the same things, I know everyone's all about these routine things. Sorry, not sorry. Your brain constantly needs to be firing and challenging itself in different ways. I love throwing myself in situations to see how I can change it because you need to still maintain your composure and be able to control that same breathing in any situation in your day. So it's important to recognize that everything is about controlling your state, and that's when you do it. You could do it a couple times a day, but if it's going to add stress and you don't actually have time, don't worry about it that day. Do it afterwards. Say you did some sprints that day and your heart rate's so elevated and then you feel lightheaded afterwards. Do it after. But now you have a tool where you can help reset so you can get out of that little fight or flight mode.
I love that. I usually try and teach people to do it right before they're about to eat as like a quick little insert into their day because people will think about it at that moment. oddly enough. I don't know. So beyond the health and wellness side of things, this is technically the Live Vybrant podcast. And our new company is Vybrant. And what do you do in your day beyond work? And I know how hard you work and how crazy life can be. What do you do to live a more vibrant life? Tell me a little bit about like Jenna outside.
I love learning things, and I love uncovering things that are kind of hidden or unknown, and I like doing my own experiments and seeing what happens and what the truth is and what I find, and can I reproduce my results, just being scientific and how we're all taught to be. And so I like to garden, I like to create, I like to, just doing different things to test different theories. I started messing around with electroculture. And I know we've talked about this before.
But we haven't on a podcast. What's electroculture?
Electroculture is using copper in your garden. So it's like as an antenna. So ether is in the air. It's the energy in the air. And I've been doing this now for over 2 years. I didn't believe in it at first. I never believed something just out of the gate. I have to validate it several times, find bias. I know human error. I know human bias. I try to, play devil's advocate as much as I can to just see what works and what doesn't work. And I started putting these copper antennas, just little rods of copper, just shoving it in the dirt, and the plants grow beyond anything I've ever seen before. And I have, because I have one of the coaches for Perform Better didn't believe me, and I brought up this video of a plant that didn't have copper, grew an arm sideways 3 feet, and then wrapped itself, literally spiraled
Around
itself around the other plant.
That's so cool.
Not only do things grow more, it's unbelievable, but the fruit that I get, the quantity of fruit, the size of the fruit, the taste of the fruit, and then there's bees everywhere, there's butterflies, hummingbirds. It's weird. I'll have a cat and they sit by it. So how animals sit in the sun? There's something about it that, it feels good, and it's a healing type of energy. I looked at things in other countries. You look at the buildings and they have copper wires all over the place to ground the building. And so I even asked, because I traveled with the Sandlers to Paris, and I asked, we would travel with the CIA because we'd walk around and go out to all these fitness classes and things, me and his daughters. And I was like, what are those things? The big ball and the antenna on the tops of buildings. And they're like, oh, that's to power the whole building. And I'm like, oh, I knew that, but I didn't think he was going to say that. But there's mercury in the ball, and the antenna picks up the ether and the electricity, and it powered the whole. So yeah, they were doing that in Libya too.
Wow.
If I go missing, you'll know what happened. But anyways.
You're all finding other cool electromagnetic theories. Now, for anyone listening, I've been to her studio when I went to visit her, and it's actually incredible. When she, think of it. What is it? What is it? Not Mary Poppins. Who's the one who is it? Snow White, where all the animals coagulate. She really in the middle of LA, she really does have this little sanctuary growing, and it's quite spectacular to see. I was hoping she would bring up her copper experiments, because it's spectacular to the point where I told her, I was like, I got my mom for Mother's Day this pack, because she's big into gardening now, and I got her this big pack of copper rods to start to play with it, and she was so excited.
It's crazy. It's unreal. I had a 95-year-old where I helped her. Her hearing started coming back from things we were doing. And she's like, out of everything you taught me. And she was the most skeptical. She had all these specialists. She had a lot of money, and just she was a little witty. I loved her. Sassy.
She was a pip.
Literally, I loved her. So she was like, out of everything you taught me, she's like, that piece of copper, I'll tell you right now, I'd never seen a cactus with that many flowers. Every time I would go, she'd be like, go out there. Go look at your cactus. Go look at it. And there'd be 10 flowers on this cactus. And she's like, I've never seen that in my life. And she's such unaware. She was a businesswoman and had her own company. She invented on her own. So she knows her stuff. And by the end of it, she was so skeptical of me. And then we became the best of friends. She was like, I will only listen to what she says. Because I research and I try to find truth for people based on their situation. Or find specialists to connect them to that are going to care about them as a whole. Their well-being. But the copper thing is crazy. My mom's got it. Every one of my patients uses it. Regular copper. I buy copper rods on Amazon. I've tried different ones where I spiral, and then you'll see they even have ones people make for humans for healing. So then I started researching. People used to stand under church bells because the frequency of the church bell would be healing. Sound is very powerful. You start looking up randomized control trials and meta-analyses on sound frequency and how you can heal. And that's what a lot of Tesla's inventions were based on. The Rife machine. You could heal parasites with frequency. If you play 1150 hertz, that frequency gets rid of parasites. They can't live with that vibration.
Interesting. And you just play it over your speakers. For how long?
So there's different protocols, but the fact that that's like a thing is crazy. So frequency, just like EMF, that's all they're different vibrations that interact with our system, you know? So frequencies and EMFs can give you inflammation. So that's where I'm like, when you say where to start, I have some of these CEOs where everything is Wi-Fi based and they're surrounded by Wi-Fi. Well, when you have allergies and mold sensitivity, it's like you can hear the Wi-Fi. It's like, like I was so sensitive. It was so bad. I would get migraines, and it's crazy because I was so swollen already, and then you were adding more inflammation on top of it. So it's crazy how all these things interact. And if you get rid of some of the Wi-Fi, I wear, like, if I have a headache, I'll wear a hat sometimes that has some of the protection in it, where it just minimizes the risk. I have a little meter. You go around your house, you
can test it.
It's crazy. These Amazon lamps are like beyond, like, there's a level where it causes inflammation. It's like 80 times beyond, and it's when they're off. It's plugged in. So then I did the Tesla charger, then the supercharger. It's crazy. People are sitting in there for hours while that's it's just like, it's kind of scary to see. But again, like when you say where to start first, pay attention to the person as a whole, and for people themselves, pay attention to what you do on a day-to-day. Because your environment has a lot of things, and it's not a fear-based thing. Like I tell everyone, just start to be aware of things that actually matter in your life, you know? Don't burn that candle in a closed space that's toxic garbage, antifreeze that you're inhaling that's killing you real time.
Right.
So, you know, and it doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but I tell everyone I like to pick my own poisons. I don't like being poisoned without being informed. People just blindly trust, and it's not good, because the people that are making the products are making it for profit, not
Correct.
For your best.
Not with your best interest at heart. The point is to just start to think about it. What'd you say?
And it's ignorance too sometimes. Like, even companies that want good products, they don't know manufacturing. So I speak to a lot of different products too, and people will hire me as a scientist, you know, that backs their stuff, and I won't back anything that isn't truly speaking to what it is. So sometimes I uncover things for these companies, and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, well, that's how they process it, and that's not good for the human body, and I will not put my name on that, and I won't work with your product. So either change that, or I can't work with you. I'm sorry. I don't support things like that. There's no need for it. Just change the freaking, you know, we should be setting a standard that should be the norm, you know, not 80 times more money because of it's organic.
With air quotes. Shoot.
Literally. You're like, as long as it's organic. I'm like, now all this stuff's coming out that organic is worse. Heavy metals in some of the organic foods are coming out worse in organic food. I'm like, what the? I can't. So
the hard part is you can't trust anyone. I was literally just talking to my mom about butchering, getting meat from a butcher, and I'm from Amish country, so she's trying to find a butcher there, a farmer.
I used to live in North Carolina. I lived in Charleston, South Carolina. We always went to the Amish. The Amish are the most statistically healthiest people that we have in the United States.
Yep, but they're starting to be limited. They're starting to get basically a crackdown because we'll just call it politics at play, that they're starting to be basically cornered in terms of what they're offering and control of the market.
Well, and you look at the patents for these GMO products, you know, where propagation is illegal because they don't want you to copy their product. They want you to have to buy another one. So they're patenting these seeds and modifying them to where it's not real food anymore. And then I look up the research on how that wind blows these products 500 miles north and south, east and west. So, you know, they'll go shut down a farmer because they can test and see, oh, you have some of my patented seed within your seed, and so that's a breach of my patent, so they can shut them down. So, like, it's crazy.
Another big one is basically a lot of the seeds, the fruits will naturally propagate the next generation. They will create seeds to then plant, and habitually the Amish were self-sustaining. They would plant their own seeds. Well, it's been contaminated enough to the point where the seeds now, like when you plant something, it's not producing. Correct. It's not producing. It's been modified to not produce more seeds, so you have to buy more seeds.
Yeah, well, the sad thing is Bill Gates run Monsanto and BlackRock, but then also the Because Monsanto, they made it to where you have to buy more seeds from them, so that will die, and that's a modified product. We should not be consuming that because we don't know what it does to the body long term. But then you look at the Roundup, and Bill Gates' other and BlackRock's other project, and it's Vanguard, it's other companies too, but majority these big names that are controlling everything, the atrazine found in Roundup that has been shown to severely mess up the system, and they introduced a small dose to frogs, and it turned the male frogs into female frogs. So they had both parts. They had both parts, and then they started reproducing with the other male frogs, and it's crazy. I watched the whole experiment. The guy was like, "Well, you see here, they turned into," and like it was nuts.
From Roundup.
So that's all going into our water. We have all these antibiotics, and again, not to fear, but I look at things that actually matter. So, because someone was saying that the other day, like you were showering in tap water. People that don't know any better. There's antibiotics in water. There's birth control. So people are becoming resistant to antibiotics. So we're going to have these bacteria that we can't control, which is scary, And so then what are we going to do? And we're just creating this. We're evolving ourselves to be less efficient and less resilient. And, as far as the hormones, men are drinking these things. So, it's really crazy to watch. And looking at the labs, the stats in the water, it's unbelievable how many heavy metals, all the garbage that's in the water, and then we're drinking it. So it's, as far as like where to start, get a filter for your house, your everything, not just what you like shower with. It should be what you don't ever put this dirty water. If you knew what this water was, there's like body fluids in there, like actual like where when someone's cremated and like human waste breakdown, even just like external waste. It's
actual human waste.
Yes, and there's diseases too, even in like raw fish and things. Oysters.
Do you have a standard that you like to recommend to your clients for water care?
So getting something, again, you have to think about when you do things like filtering the water, then you're taking away the minerals. So people say things like, "Oh, you're not supposed to do." Reverse osmosis is really good, but it takes away the minerals. So you have to remineralize yourself. And so there's a lot that goes into it, but Brita's not going to do anything. Trying to find something that is a little more advanced. If you don't find the reverse osmosis, you can get ones. There's ones with carbon inside of it, and they have different layers. So usually the 5 or more layers, where it'll show you on there VOCs, like anything, little particles that can get into your skin, because your skin absorbs all of that. So if you're just taking showers and pouring this on yourself, you're washing your face, you're putting this in your mouth. I will not brush my teeth with unfiltered water. And I'm telling you, if you looked at the stats by state, see what the water contains, you wouldn't either. And I don't know why we care so much about such weird things, but we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard with that. Like, I wish more people knew so that we could hold ourselves to a higher standard and not allow that. Even the lakes, it's disgusting. We're using a lot of poisons that we've never used before, and it's coming to term right now, and we're seeing a lot of things happen to humans that are not.
No, I think it's a good note for the fact that a Brita water filter, or the very standard, just kind of like a charcoal wash, doesn't do anything, and unfortunately that's the hard truth of it.
But
obviously,
also, if you don't have anything, that's again working with each person. Like if you can't afford one, get a Brita filter. So like that's where, and even the copper too. Copper is antimicrobial, antibacterial. I've had water in a glass with an orchid for a year and a half, have not changed the water, and I have a piece of copper in it. It's crystal clear water, stays crystal clear. Even my cold plunge, I throw a copper pipe in there and it stays clear. So, it's very cleaning, it's cleansing too. So there's different ways you can use frequency to clean water too. They have like these frequency things, like it's called Somavedic, where you can put a glass of water on it and it will change the frequency of the water and actually clean the water. So again, there's a lot. Yeah, but just start with where you are. It's one step at a time. And I threw a lot out, but you have to take it step by step. Otherwise, it becomes overwhelming and you fall down. Yeah, it's not worth it. Think of your health as something that's a blessing, and you want to explore how to preserve it as well as you can. Because, just blindly following anymore, it's disgusting. They're feeding us poison. They're feeding us modified foods, screen printed foods. It's unreal. So I don't know, really wake up on this, because that's the most important.
It's starting to, right? RFK coming in, people like you talking about things like this on podcasts. It will happen. People are becoming aware, at least to the point of reading labels and starting to at least have the concept of maybe everything isn't what it says it is. That's a win that people I don't think are as blind anymore. Changing gears a little bit as we wind down, where's the future of House of Pain and Dr. Jenna going? What's next?
So I do a lot with the blood work, and you are also a physical therapist. You work nonstop. I've burned myself out to where, just working day and night with patients, it's just crazy. It's so much energy. So I've been speaking a lot, doing a lot online, working with my podcast, Enhancing the Human, just trying to make more time for myself to be able to travel, go explore things and interview cool people. I've also transitioned into, my females out here in Beverly Hills and Hollywood. I found ways to change beauty with, the modalities and the same tools that I'm using to help injuries. People are like, you're better than Botox. I can change your double chin in one day. So it's fun. I have a lot of stuff coming out online soon, and it's fun. It's all the same stuff, but it's just bettering the human body, putting you in a better position where the muscles sit better, and people feel better. They show up differently. You can see them lead with their heart versus being sagged down into a poor posture. Their breathing becomes more efficient. It's a win-win. A lot of the spiritual with physical and emotional too. It's important.
It's amazing. And the stuff you're releasing, what's it going to be called, or what's the title of it, just so we can have our ears to the ground?
So just on my website, drjenna.com, I work with a lot of different partners, and I vet these companies, red light therapy companies, saunas, hyperbaric chambers. A lot of the home modalities you can get on my website, and I have a lot of different codes that you can get discounts, Aura Ring, things like that. Just different tools that I've vetted and are safe, and they're sometimes these companies get bought out and then the new people change all the ingredients, so you have to be careful. It's like we always have to be on our toes. So what I know now, these companies are people that care about people, and they are doing what's best from what they know right now. And there's a lot of different companies and products that you can find on my website, but up there too, online courses. drjenna.com.
Cool. And now is the next speaking thing you're doing Perform Better? Do you have anything before that?
No, nothing before. It's coming up now in a couple weeks. So it's going to be a good time in Long Beach. I love it.
So we'll see you, Dr. Jen, it'll be July 17th through the 19th down at Perform Better in Long Beach. And then are you doing another gig after that?
So not with Perform Better. So I'm doing something with the military in Northern California. So I try to set up things too where we're giving back and educating people that need it and that have sacrificed so much for us, and just staying true to character and to trying to help people that truly need it. So
incredible. Yeah. And then what's your socials? Where do we find you? Obviously drjenna.com, but then throw the at me.
I mean, Dr. Jenna Gatses, Jenna with one N. Just look up Dr. Jenna, DRJENA, and it should come up. I've done a lot of random things over the years, so something should come up. But I'd love to hear from you. Crazy running around all the time, so I try to reach out and keep up with everyone, but I fall short daily. I'm also human. Remember that too. For yourself.
No, never. Well, Doctor, it's been honestly a privilege to sit and talk with you. I love when we get a chance to kind of chit chat and just decompress, talk it through. And I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast today.
And just, I've been really pointing this out to a lot of people that, I appreciate you having me on, but also you give off the energy and make it safe enough to allow people to be themselves. And it's a beautiful thing because, I started noticing that sometimes I act differently and I'm shy around certain people. And it's when I feel judged or, when I can sense someone's motivations aren't true or they don't have their side of their life figured out. It's not even personal to me. So I just appreciate your knowledge of yourself and just your understanding enough to be disciplined to have that safe energy and allow people to come on and share their stuff. It's amazing.
Thank you. That means the world. Well, listen, we'll have you back on soon. We will talk to you soon. And this is us signing off.